I'm Will Hedrick.
And I'm Jordan Schaffer.
And this is Dog Ears and Timestamps, a Game of Thrones podcast.
We killed off Kenneth.
We got rid of him because he was the worst.
Yeah, dude, he had a bad storyline anyway.
He did. It was not good. It was worse than John Aaron.
It was just kind of boring.
Who
It was
had
all
the
going
most
too good.
dumb storyline?
Kenneth, it was all going too good.
Okay, Kenneth, yeah.
No, but, yeah, man, who does have the worst storyline? Probably right now, I would say...
I think that it's probably Bran.
Yeah, probably Bran. Bran probably has the worst.
Because unless something that I can't at all anticipate happens, he literally had an absolutely pointless storyline.
Yeah. Otherwise, we wasted a whole bunch of time with him. Yeah, we just got attached to Hodor.
Right.
Yeah. Sad about him. And dude, yeah, that would be such a bummer because right now, you're right. I don't think he's done anything.
He hasn't. He's was supposedly the Night King's arch nemesis as the Three-Eyed Raven.
That's
so then obviously whenever Bran becomes the Three-Eyed Raven, then, blah, blah. But there was all this effort into him having to go beyond the wall and then get to the place so that he could meet the Three-Eyed Raven to become the Three-Eyed Raven because he was going to fly and he was going to, be able to have the whole history of Westeros and
then with Sam finding out about
and
Jon's parentage anyway, from a journal, they didn't even need Bran because they had two confirming places that they learned it, from Bran taking his word for it, which they still have to take. It's not like Bran can prove it to them and show them his vision.
Yeah, exactly.
And then even if he could, it's still magic, so he's still showing them it could be fake. But then they have it actually written down, which was more proof anyway. And from Jon's best friend. So, I don't know. You're right. I don't think Bran has a point. Dude, this week I was disappointed about Ghost going home. Or going back to the north.
Dude, the animators just hate Ghost. They just have to hate Ghost. There's something about animating Ghost that is a huge money suck and
it's probably super
a
hard.
Huge pain in the ass, yeah. There's just something about
those
it.
Dogs, because they're special breed. They're a special breed of dog that they bred specifically for the direwolf character in the show, I think.
Right.
And so, dude, I bet if they only have a couple of them, it's not like Lassie where they had 9 that were trained to do different stuff. And they could just swap out the golden retriever or whatever, or whatever Lassie was. They each one of these wolves looked different, and I don't know how many white ones they had on set.
Right.
But I bet that was tough.
Yeah, and then it's anytime it's an action scene, that's 100% animation of the wolf,
Oh, yeah, you can...
unless it's just literally the wolf jumping up on a rock. The wolf can do that. But if it's fighting something, they're animating it. Yeah. And it just must have been such a pain in the ass. They're okay, we've got to just get rid of him. And we're not going to kill him because we're a bunch of pussies. So let's just send him up north with Tormund, who we're also not going to kill because we're a bunch of pussies.
Yeah, we'll take off part of his ear, though.
Yeah.
Make him look rough.
Right. Let everybody know that he did, in fact, fight whenever we saw him charge and then didn't see him fight.
He fought something.
Right.
Yeah, how do you feel about, some of the people that they connected together, how they made Jaime and Brienne, they made them finally get together, even though, Jaime has been in love with Cersei his whole life, and then they make him leave to go help Cersei.
Right.
In the end, anyway. So it's did he have a moment of
I think it was just they won. It was fan service to get Jaime and Bran together. Okay. Because that's what everybody has wanted since people got the idea that Bran might be into him. And then 2, it's also an easy way to get us to hate Jaime again. Or to at least turn against him a little bit. Because now we've had 3 or 4, however long it is, seasons of deciding that, oh wait, Jaime actually is a decent guy. Or even if he's an asshole and still maybe fundamentally evil in some way, he's grown on us.
Yeah, this makes him an enemy again. That's smart. Yeah. That's probably it. Yeah, that probably is what it is.
It at the very least kind of sets us against him enough, or gets us ready to be against him for, because... I imagine a lot of people might still just be well, he's, he fucked up Brienne and that sucks, and he's going back to help Cersei, we guess, because he doesn't really say what he's going to do. He just leaves and says, I've always done a lot of things for Cersei.
Yeah.
But he doesn't say, I'm now going to go do more things for Cersei. He just says, I've done a lot for her.
Yeah.
And he also just like 2 nights previous or whatever, the time frame is, who knows, just got assaulted by Bronn, who told him that he was sent there to kill him by Cersei.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, that's probably also on his mind. So who knows what he's going to actually do. Mm-hmm. But he did leave just saying, like, 4 different occasions in which he did awful things for Cersei.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
So maybe he goes to kill Cersei, which, is still like an idea that I've had for a long time. But I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I feel like it's a bit of a red herring. Mm-hmm. And, the way that they're making it seem like he's going to go help her out or something like that.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of weird how Bronn, like, came out of nowhere and was like...
why are Jaime and Tyrion also just hanging out by themselves in an inn outside of the castle?
Right? It didn't make much sense at all.
It's just so they can be alone with Bronn and not be, like, able to call for help or anything like that. That's all it is.
But Bronn has, like, no weight. Like, if they win the fight in the end, and then what is Bronn just going to walk up to the Iron Throne in King's Landing and be like, hey, they promised me this, and then they'd be like, well, you're a traitor, dead, like...
Yeah.
Other than them just giving it to, like, I
thought that too. Like, all you'd have to do, and Bronn spends like all this time in that conversation talking about how every single one of the Lannisters has promised him something and then failed to do so. Mm-hmm. And then Tyrion's like, I promise you this, and he's like, okay. Like, he just buys into it again.
Yeah.
It's just none of it makes any sense as an interaction.
I thought he was going to trade something else other than, like, I'm going to give you guys your lives, Like, I thought he was going to be like, I'll go take care of Cersei because she trusts me, And I thought he was going to... For some reason, I just, like, in my head, I was like, maybe Bronn will kill Cersei.
Just something more complicated. Because right now, it's just... or just something more believable. Because I thought maybe he would just kill one of them right then.
Right? Yeah.
I thought he was just going to kill Jaime, really. Because I think Tyrion is still too important to die because there's still like,
He hasn't done anything yet.
not really a whole lot of negotiating, like except for some kind of like the stuff that's going on with Varys right now, where they're trying to figure out what to do between Jon and Daenerys. But Jaime doesn't have anything to do except kill Cersei, if that is who kills Cersei. If he's not who kills Cersei, then he has got nothing to do except for just complicate things. Mm-hmm. So it would make sense for Bronn to kill Jaime in that interaction, and then whatever that ends up meaning for Tyrion. But for him to just go in there, do these half-ass written negotiations, and then leave to just go be something that we have to think about, like, oh, when does he show up and kill somebody?
Right. I mean, I get
so that's
it.
all it is that now he's just the wild card that can show up and solve a problem for us when it needs to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, I get that, like, the Lannisters always pay their debts, so I guess, like, getting his word is as good as getting it written down and paper, and and getting it written down.
But he also spent he said like 3 different things that the Lannisters had already done and then screwed him out of afterwards. Because he was supposed to, like, he gets like his night ship at the Blackwater, and he's supposed to get like a castle and like a lady and stuff like that. But then Jaime chicks him out of staying for that and going with him to go take River Run. And then he gets, I don't know, like several different things that the Lannisters had quote unquote promised him and then didn't do. So I don't know, just the whole interaction was just felt needless to me.
So when Daenerys, like, legitimized
Gendry.
Thank you, Gendry. They would have to accept her as the queen for everyone else to give him his legitimacy too, right? Like, she would have to be the official, like, head. Okay, because
if she doesn't become queen of the Seven Kingdoms, if, say, she dies and Jon takes it, or whoever it is that takes it, if they are just like, no, fuck you, Gendry, then he's just fucked.
Well, the thing is I was thinking, like, isn't he next in line for the throne? Like, if he's legitimized, if he was legitimized by Cersei, he would have been next in the throne, because she's Cersei Baratheon, and that's the only reason she's on the throne is because she's a Baratheon.
Right. Yeah.
And so I was thinking that technically, if he's legitimized, then he would be next in line for like, if he's legitimized by the queen, everyone's accepting, and then she dies. Right. Then he would be next in line, right? Or no?
Well,
after Jon.
If Daenerys is in place as the queen, then the bastard, the legitimized son of the person who usurped it from her family wouldn't just then be able to be like, no, actually my dad was father last, or my dad was king last, so I get to do that.
Yeah.
That would just be like another rebellion.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If she were to legitimize him as like her son or whatever, if that was the situation, then yes, he would suddenly be next in line again.
But he wouldn't. Yeah, he wouldn't just gain legitimacy and then take. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Interesting. No, it's I was thinking that there might be some sort of little thing that could happen there, but dude, that was just.
He's got if assuming that Cersei stays in power on the throne, if she were to recognize his legitimacy, which she never would, then yes, he would have a claim to it.
That's a good point.
And there could be a case where if Daenerys and Cersei die, then everybody left could just be like because Jon doesn't want the fucking throne. Mm-hmm. Jon could conceivably be like, well, you were legitimized by the last queen of the Seven Kingdoms as Baratheon's true heir, so now you can take that spot or something like that. I mean, it could work. Yeah. That's too complicated, I think, for them to care to try and do it, though.
And it would be so, foolish to just put somebody with no, education or, I was trying to think of a good way to, explain it, but it was to me, it felt like if you just kind of took some, mechanic or some, person, a shelf stalker or somebody like me and just was like, okay, now you're president. Or not president, or mayor, of Texas.
Right,
wait,
yeah.
Now I have to run Texas? Dude, I stock shelves at a wine store.
Right.
I don't know how to run Texas. He's like, I'm a fucking blacksmith. I don't want or know how to do any of this stuff that you're asking me to do. And, you just expect me to take it as a good thing. Thank you. Dude, that would suck. It's just weird. She throws her power around in ways that it's like, oh, isn't that sweet? She's given him his birthright. And it's like, no, she's just giving him a lot of work that he doesn't understand. I don't know.
Well,
I guess that's a dumb point of view.
She's securing an ally.
She's trying. Yeah,
I think
that's the point.
Her goal with that. Mm-hmm. Which it'll be interesting to see what Gendry does do, because he might just decide to fuck off and disappear.
Yeah. Because Arya
doesn't want to be with him there, as a lady. So he might just be like, well, fuck all of it and try to disappear or something like that. Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen? I feel like that would be in character for Gendry to do so. Yeah. But I don't know. The show doesn't agree with a lot of my ideas of the characters anymore. So maybe I'm wrong.
I know we talked about it before the podcast, but how did you like the ballistas, the crossbow on the boat ballista shooting dragon? I don't know.
Well, they're definitely they're a tool to give Daenerys' enemies a chance against the dragons, because otherwise nothing would ever take down the dragon. Right. So it's a necessary plot device. It's some of the more surprising writing that's happened in a while for them to just suddenly have those ballistas on every single one of the ships in the Iron Fleet. Yeah. Which is kind of like a big oh shit, they're not going to be able to do anything by sea. Because now literally every ship in Cersei's control has these dragon killing ballistas. So, yeah. So that's definitely what was one of the more looking at it from a story pacing and writing perspective was one of the more pleasant surprises that's happened so far this season. Yeah. It makes sense and it's effective and cool.
Yeah, in a way. With all the money that she would have had to spend on that, Cersei, I feel like that's how she's going to lose if she loses. She's going to lose because she runs out of money, and then the Iron Bank is just going to be like, well, we're out. You can't pay us back. We're here to drain you, And then,
it is interesting to see, to wonder, and it's something that I always do wonder about whenever we're in any sort of fantasy setting that a war is happening, and they're like, oh, money. And I get that wars cost money, but if you're king, if you're an absolute monarchy, how do you not just have all the resources of your kingdom? Now, if they have to buy wood from across the sea from another kingdom, then yes, I get that.
Yeah.
But if all they have to do is, and I guess you also have to pay your workers, and if you're paying them overtime to chop down more trees and paying the carpenters overtime to do, then yes, your costs increase, but it's not like they suddenly have to spend like 5 times as much money because they had to buy 5 times more wood than they have been buying, you know? So, I don't know, I just don't see how that ends up being as big of an argument as they always make it seem like in the show.
Oh, yeah. I see what you mean. I just, I guess just with, like, the cost of, like, the new weapons, I guess. I don't know. That's the only thing I could even kind of think of, but...
Like, did they have to pay some artisan to design it? And he was like, you better pay me like $1 zillion to design this.
No, they should just be like, whoosh.
Right, yeah. Certainly someone like Cersei who doesn't give a fuck,
right.
You know, literally hates everybody else.
Well, and it seemed like her spider or whatever was the one that designed it anyway. So it seemed like he was the one that designed it.
And he's totally living to just like, I feel like he's just like wants to fuck everything up as much as Bolton Ramsay did. Yeah. But he was just like total chaos, and he was just like, Cersei will be a good vehicle for me to just fuck everybody.
Yeah, he just wants to watch the world burn, yeah.
The only personality that Qyburn seems to have is, my queen wants this, and it makes me laugh to see her fuck you. Like, that seems to be the only personality that he has. Mm-hmm. He never has any other motive except that. I guess there was that one time he was like, well, everything was taken from me from the Citadel, and Cersei gave it all back. But, so now you're like undyingly loyal to her because of that? It just doesn't necessarily add up.
And he brought back the mountain, right? Like, isn't there some sort of like, he's not obviously like a white or whatever, but there's something there, some sort of like magic that they're probably not
figured out
explain.
Something. Yeah, that'll never get explained.
Dragon glass needs some shatters.
Right. They'll definitely never explain the mountain unless during Clegane Bowl. Yes.
Okay.
Unless during Clegane Bowl, like they have like a weird moment where like, Sandor is like getting fucked up pretty bad, and then Qyburn shows up and is like, do you want to know how I brought him back? And then we get like a 5-minute monologue about how the mountain is his greatest accomplishment and all this shit, which gives Sandor enough time to recuperate and throw sand in his eyes or something stupid.
Do you want to know how I brought him back?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Oh my god, I bet that shit happens.
Just like such a like an evil villain, like time to monologue.
Right, yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, dude, I can see that happening too. Yeah, I forgot about the Clegane off or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the internet refers to it as Clegane Bowl.
Mm-hmm. That sounds good.
I guess I'm excited for it. I don't know. It's just 2 really big, strong, mean dudes fighting each other.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I was getting confused on the height of like everybody because it seemed like Brienne was taller than the Hound, and then it seemed like she was almost as tall as Jaime, but Jaime's not taller than that. You know, like, I don't know. It was just like, it seemed like Brienne was all over the place with her height. I think
Brienne is just as tall as the Hound.
Oh, okay.
Or, like, just under, if I remember correctly, because she's, like, freakishly tall for a woman. That's something that they say all the time. But I think that she definitely is taller than Jaime. Jaime's just, like, average height. Mm-hmm. And then the Hound is very tall for a person, just not as tall as the Mountain. But they're both like really tall brothers or whatever. I don't remember. But yeah.
And that'll be cool watching them go down. Yeah, dude. So I don't even really know what to expect this next episode because like we're down to 1 dragon, a queen that's going crazy. She's losing all of her power. It seems like Jon doesn't want it, but everybody seems to be wanting to thrust him into kinghood. And like Varys even said, like the one that doesn't want power should be the one in power, and I was like, oh my god, of course they're gonna make him out to be like a super king, or like
he's a leader that's already been chosen 2 or 3 different times, and has continued to prove that he's more or less worthy of that.
Yeah.
And so if suddenly the news comes out that he's Targaryen, then yeah, everybody's going to be like, well, fuck yeah, have him do it. We've already seen him be awesome in several different situations. And like Tormund was saying, like, you know, keeps on fighting. And I don't think Tormund, not in so many words, but says like, you know, he's like selfless and honorable and stuff like that, and continued to fight even though like he got killed for wanting to do what he thought was the right thing and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, Dany's definitely losing it. I think like you've been saying that they're setting her up to become a villain. And yeah, that's just, you know, becoming more and more evident. There's going to be some sort of schism in the Allied forces, and see how that plays out. I don't know what's going to... Because I don't think that Tyrion betrays Dany. Unless Dany does something truly tyrannical. Like if she starts burning civilians by the thousands, then maybe Tyrion will be like, all right, yeah.
Yeah. Then... Dude, it almost just, at this point, like, since there is... It just feels like it's going to be one of those, like, existential endings. Like, it's always a Game of Thrones, you know? Like,
right.
There is no winner that sits on the throne. Like, we have a temporary, a seat warmer for the throne, but it's always the Game of Thrones, you know? I feel like that'll be some sort of ending, because, like, the way it's building up, it's like, you know, I don't even know, it just feels like, unless, like, Jon wins, like... none of the messages and things that he's like learned and struggled and like grown from throughout this whole thing will be imparted in the new leader. Because it'll be like, if my prediction of it being his kid as the new leader, like the kid wouldn't get any of the stuff that we've just been like, that we'd gone through all historically through with these characters. So like it almost wouldn't make sense for it to be the kid, because then it would just be another cycle for the Game of Thrones, you know, and then it would be, you know, somebody else just wanting to come in and rule. Like, it would just be some kids, you know, the kids of the winners running this show, and not even, like, the people that worked for it, I guess. I don't know. I guess that's kind of a weird thing to bring up. But it's just... Yeah. It's hard for me to think of, like, his kid even being the winner, unless it's just, like, an existential ending of, like, it's always a Game of Thrones.
Right.
I don't know. Because short of Jon being the actual, like... one on the throne, I can't see it being like a peaceful ending.
Yeah, I think that
he's the only one they're following.
I really don't know what's going to happen, but I still think that there's not anybody on the Iron Throne. I don't think that the Seven Kingdoms come back together.
Okay.
I think they stay fractured.
There's
evidently a new prince in Dorne, which...
That's quick.
Yeah. Like, I don't know where that would have come from. I mean, they could very easily explain it away as just, like, some cousin or whatever. Yeah. But, like, we'll never meet him. He's never going to matter. It's just literally a way for them to be like, we've got Dorne on our side, so that's another 10,000 or whatever.
Yeah, and we're moving on, you know?
But, I mean, yeah, I guess so many of the great houses are supposedly barren, except now... Dorne's back, so, you know, they could be argued that they find some cousin for Highgarden. Gendry's now got Storm's End. I forgot that fucking little Aaron is still alive.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. Ugh. They left him there at the Eyrie. I totally fucking forgot that. That's how unimportant he is.
Dude, I forgot too. Did they say that?
Yeah.
He's still up there, just being a little shit.
And, I don't think they said that in the story, but someone said it on a podcast I listened to, and I was like, oh shit, you're right, he's still around.
That actor's so old now.
I know, yeah, they'd be embarrassed to show him. So, you know, the Vale.
Yeah, there's still the Vale.
There's nobody in Riverrun, although, you know, if Jon stays in the north, Sansa could go to Riverrun.
Yeah, they'll find somebody for Riverrun.
Or they could, you know, just get somebody. Yeah. It doesn't fucking matter. The Fraiser all burnt out.
Yeah, they'll give the what was that? The Greenseer kid? What was his name?
Jojen.
Yeah, they'll give Jojen's family something for
Well, they already have. Well, I guess they could be given like greater status, but they are already a great house.
They already do. Yeah, you're right.
Or maybe not like a great house, but one of the like medium houses. If that's a thing.
They have a name.
They're bannermen of the Starks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that it stays fractured as the Seven Kingdoms or Five Kingdoms or whatever. You know, I think that a big land grab's going to happen. Different families get installed into the old houses that no longer have their families. And that's it.
Yeah. Man, what if, like... No, they couldn't do this. I was like, what if Dany goes back, conquers Essos, Jon conquers Westeros, they reunite.
We have a one world alliance.
One world government. That would never work.
They're going to do that in 2 episodes. One episode is Jon capturing Westeros, and one episode is Dany capturing Essos.
And the epilogue is, we'll just have to read into that. We'll come up with our own.
Right.
Yeah, man,
that's what spinoffs are about.
There's just so much to I feel like wrap up that like it can't be anything crazy big like that. You know, it's just got to be the people that we're left with and the side that we're left on.
Yeah.
Like I think you're right. I don't think Dorne will matter except for just like literally saying
just having numbers. Yeah. They did take time to say that now the armies are evenly matched. Oh,
good point.
So they lost enough people at Winterfell that they now have the same numbers as Cersei. So they had. And they said like half or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they had like 60,000 men. Because Cersei's got 30. Because the Golden Company was 20, right? And then if we assume that King's Landing had a standing army of 5 or 10.
Yeah.
Then now that Winterfell lost half of its people, or the combined army of Daenerys and the North that lost half their people. Yeah, and now they've got the same number. It just... I didn't think that there were that many people.
No, I didn't think so either. And especially for them to move them all so fast, like, and them to be like, well, we have the remaining Unsullied and Dothraki, like, right, just the last couple thousand of them, and
and that's always how it is what you see on screen is never supposedly representative of the whole.
It'd be hard
because it would be difficult to actually animate that much stuff. Because you couldn't get that many actors.
Right, yeah.
So they'd start to become animated, like in the opening sequence of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But that's, hardly worth having to do all the time.
Yeah.
I think the only time that they did that this season was whenever the Unsullied started coming into Winterfell. And they did kind of zoom out and show, like, all the Unsullied, like, marched up or whatever.
That would be cool.
But that was the one time that they seemed to actually show accurate scale.
Yeah, that would be something that would be interesting to kind of like break apart too, time wise, to see like if there is enough time for Dany to grow a kid, and
I don't think that Dany has a kid.
No, I know, but if that would add a little fuel to the fire if it was even possible. She probably doesn't, because the way that I just said it, without it ending just being a Game
that lady or that whatever she was, I can't remember.
Witch or whatever.
Yeah, that witch said that she was barren, and that's why she couldn't have kids, like she stillborn the one or whatever, and then she has the dragons. That's why the dragons mean so much to her, because she quote unquote birthed them, and they would be her children because she could never have children. Yeah, I think in that season and the following season, she says something about how she can't have children like 10 different times.
I know, but then they said it in the beginning of this season, like to remind us, like she can't have kids. But it felt like so in your face, like, by the way, she was cursed where she can't have kids, but we're gonna find a way around it. Don't worry. Like John's got some swimmers, I don't know. Like,
right.
It was just, I felt like they were going to find a way around it just because of how in your face they were about, like, well, I can't even get pregnant. And he was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just...
Right. That's true. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then also she's got to die. Right? She has to die.
Dude, yeah. I can't imagine an ending with her there.
Yeah.
She's not happy about Jon. She doesn't want to be number 2.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder if... Yeah, man, and then if Tyrion doesn't betray her, do we lose Tyrion in a way that's like, no, like Varys kills him or something stupid? Or like, man, I don't even...
I think that Tyrion probably dies.
Yeah, I think he will, too.
Varys will likely die.
I don't see him dying for some reason, but yeah, he probably does.
I certainly feel like he might not. I don't know what's going to happen. It just feels like he might a little bit, but he's survived a million other things.
Right.
By just being smart and knowing when to duck out. But, I don't know. Not enough people have died yet. And it's almost like they're just saving it all for everybody to die at once in one big, like, really difficult episode. But I feel like that's kind of cheap in a way as well.
Yeah, I feel you there.
Especially since they just fought like the most difficult army of all time and lost 30,000 or whatever the number that we decided is. But yeah, but none of them were anybody that we knew except for Jorah.
Yeah.
And Theon, who deserved to die 2 seasons ago. Everybody forgets that he's actually like an evil, awful son of a bitch.
Oh yeah, he's the worst. Yeah, he betrayed his friggin' family. Well, basically his family.
Right.
And man, it's crazy how this story just makes you forget like how awful some people are, and then like you kind of are on their side,
right?
And
well, it's just been so far removed from the last time that we saw them do something that bad, and like Jaime gets his hand cut off, and that's when he starts to get like a little bit of perspective or whatever. Theon gets his dick cut off, and that's when he turns over or whatever. But he doesn't even turn over. Like, that's not even like a good person ruins him and teaches him like good prevails or something like that. Just a more evil person ruins him, and then he's just like, fuck, if I just hadn't gotten caught, it would have worked. So that's like but this didn't work. So because it didn't work, I must have done the wrong thing, which means I should have been good. Like, it's just like the cheapest way to turn over. It's just stupid. I don't understand why everybody was like been on Theon's side. No, at any point.
Yeah, he sucks. Yeah, I hated him, and
because even in the beginning, he was kind of like a prick.
Yeah, he was a dick to even Rob.
Yeah, the one that he was like supposedly got along with.
Yeah. No, he was just kind of a dick all around, and apparently he was really funny on set though, like the actor, like the guy.
He seems like a cool dude, like in real life.
Yeah, no, the guy seems like they said he was real funny, but he plays a good dick, kind of douchey character. Yeah, man, I feel like just there's gonna be so much murder in this episode this coming week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it could all be in the next week's, in the final finale.
Yeah, I don't really know what's gonna happen in the structure of the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, there's got to be another war, another battle,
Right. Yeah, I mean,
unless Cersei just runs out of money, and then it's kind of like War of the Worlds, like, oh, they died from disease. And it's like they died because she ran out of money, so we win. That'd be kind of like, well, that's boring.
Right.
But I guess
there's like almost no way that they would show us a siege.
Right.
That's just not going to happen. Mm-hmm. No, 160 minutes left or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the fight's going to happen, right? But does the fight start halfway through next week's episode? Is the entirety of the last episode the fight, and then we only get like 5 minutes of like aftermath? Like, does the fight like literally end with someone killing Cersei and then sitting on the throne?
Sit down. That'd be hilarious.
I don't know.
Dude, yeah. I kind of hope they don't do anything lame like a fucking time jump, like 20 years later,
Right. That would be super stupid.
Yeah. Man, this is the part where it's like everybody's waiting for the big ending, and it's like they're so nervous that they're going to mess it up. I feel like those writers or the producer and stuff, like they're just so nervous that everyone's going to hate it.
I think I think that on the whole, people are enjoying this season.
Yeah.
For the same reason that on the whole, or at least, like the majority of people that say things liked last season, even though last season was entirely useless. Nothing happens last season except the wall comes down. And that's it. Right? That's the only thing that happens plot-wise last season.
I mean, yeah, Jon comes back, but like...
Was that the beginning of last season that he came back to life, or was that the end of the season? Because I can't remember. It's been so long for me.
That's a good question, because if it is the end of season 5 and we're on 8, so that might have been the beginning of season 6 that happened. And then season 7 was, for book 7, split into 2 parts, 7 and 8. Okay, that's probably what happened. Jon's been back for a while, since way before.
I feel like he's been back for the whole.
No, you're right.
Season.
Yeah, you're right. I think he was back the whole last.
Because the whole of last season was just like, let's get everybody to fight the White Walkers. Mm-hmm. And that was the entirety of the last season. It was just him trying to convince everybody to do so. I guess Dany shows up, right? She appears in Westeros.
Yeah.
Or because I can't remember when that is either. Is that at the end of? Too, right? Yeah, she was at Storm's End or Dragonstone, whatever that place is called. I can't.
Yeah,
remember.
You're right, Dragonstone.
I don't think we've ever seen Storm's End, unless we just saw it like as a backdrop, like it's rough to be leaving Storm's End, or something like that.
I forgot why she was coming through there. Because she
lands there because it's strategic.
Yeah, it wasn't something like Tyrion's plan messed up. Like they're supposed to. I can't even remember now.
Yeah, I don't remember the structure of it, but I remember last season being literally pointless, and for the most part, incredibly boring. The fight on the lake was exciting for a little bit, and then none of them died, and I was like, oh, okay, so.
Yeah, Jamie was so pumped too because rewatching that season, he was like charging the dragon. He was like, "I'm gonna get her!" He thought he was gonna kill her. Not even close. Yeah, that was that. I remember rewatching it and thinking like, "This is cool," Like I enjoyed it cinematically and like not thinking about it as much. Just getting ready for the new season, to binge watch it. It was cool, but you're right. I don't think it had much.
There was no stakes last season.
Yeah,
there was nothing ever at stake. And but people enjoyed it more or less, I think.
We like don't want to admit that we like the cookie cutter story, where the good guys win and nobody dies, and
right, yeah.
We all are like, no, I want the hardcore, real Game of Thrones type stories where everybody dies and the bad guys win sometimes. And it's like, no, you don't, dude. If Cersei won, everyone would lose their shit. Like if the bad guy won, like what could realistically happen? Like everyone would lose their fucking minds.
Yeah.
And there could be something where like, nobody good, somebody, like we've already said, it could just be a super neutral ending. Like, it's always a game for the fucking throne. But yeah, I feel like everyone just wants the like Jon and Dany on the throne happily ever after with a kid. But like that'll never happen either. So
right.
It's just.
That kind of story has its place, but it's mostly for children.
Yeah.
And it certainly doesn't have a place in a story that used to be, way more than that.
They used to scar adults. Just
right?
Like, oh my
God.
God.
They killed the main character at the end of the first season.
Yeah, then they killed like his whole family.
Yeah. It's super
war over that guy. Yeah.
Strange that... it's not strange because I know why it happens, because they ran out of source material. And that sucks for them. I get that. And it's not really their fault that they're not the, sort of creative genius that Martin is. Nobody has control over that.
Yeah.
And you can't ask them to be, as good as someone that's, a creative genius. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that I can't be disappointed in the show as a whole now.
Right. Yeah, like you're not allowed to be.
I can't enjoy something because I understand that it's why it's not as good anymore.
Oh, okay.
Or because even if I, could say that I could empathize with Benioff and Weiss, that still doesn't make me then enjoy it.
Yeah, now I like it because I get the struggle.
Right, yeah. That's not how that works.
No. I enjoy the story.
Yeah. It's just not, and I'm stealing this from somebody who, on a different podcast that I was listening to last week, after recording last week's episode, otherwise I would have said it last week, but the show is now become the fairy tale that it previously was trying to subvert.
Right. And I think it got too many cooks in the kitchen is probably the only reason why. Is because, once you don't have the wild card of the Martin character, the author doing whatever he wants in his universe, and you don't have him doing the wild card thing anymore, and you have that many like cooks in the kitchen fueling the fire, it gets all these producers in there, it gets all these other people in there, all these other like I don't know how corporate it got, but I imagine it got relatively corporate, and then they had to think like, well, we gotta market these people as long as we can, and all these other things, and I'm sure there was a lot of like politics like involved, literally, like that wouldn't be there if it was just a one man show like it was for a while with the books, but I don't know. I still have faith that they're going to wrap it up pretty nicely, but it's hard to imagine that they could do a better job, than Martin would have without any outside influence.
Oh, I mean, not even just that. I think it's really hard to imagine that they could do half the job as Martin will hopefully end up doing.
And hopefully he does. Hopefully he puts a nice bow on everything, and he gives us.
If he gives himself the time to do so, I don't know how frequently he works on it.
I know the way it feels.
The way he's depicted online makes it seem like he's literally doing anything but writing.
Dude, yeah, if I didn't have to, I'd probably just be like, I'll just wait until I die. Like, I'm good.
Right. Maybe he has finished it. Maybe that's exactly right.
It's just done.
he's totally finished the story. It's ready to be published. He's just like, I don't want anybody telling me anything after it publishes. So I'm going to publish it the day I die.
Yeah.
And then I won't have to deal with any of the
no edits.
Yeah, right. No one will be able to tell me a goddamn thing about it.
That's gonna be the worst too. Is just like when the book finally does come out, if it ever does, it'll be one of those things that people are just gonna be mad about, and it's just like, dude, like.
Yeah, and there's definitely always people mad about anything.
Sure. Yeah.
And
just like how there be
looking at the internet is always a bad representation of how the audience actually feels.
Right.
Because the only people that say anything are the mad ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, rarely do you get like, oh my god, that made me so happy. I just smiled for the rest of the day.
Right.
Like, you don't get those as much.
Yeah, that's usually far less common to see. If there was like, if there was a requirement for you to say how you felt on the subreddit about whatever entertainment property you were watching, then I would not be surprised at all if the majority of the time people were, if not happy about it, at the very least neutral. Yeah. I think that the majority of the time we see all these people that are like, raging online, but they're just a vocal minority.
Right. That makes sense. No, yeah. I mean, that seems to be common, like in just the internet. You're right. The only people that are going to say anything.
Yeah. It's just usually people that are flaming.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Yeah, I'm just excited to see what happens next week. They kind of just left it off for just seems like shit's going down. Just like they're just gonna get in a fight.
Yeah.
It seems like at least the next week's gonna be action packed.
The fight's got to start next week.
Oh yeah.
It has to. It would be absurd if it didn't. But who knows? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe we get another episode that's somehow even more useful than this episode was, and then the last episode is all fight. I think I would almost welcome that. Yeah,
I heard like an interview with I can't even remember her name, the actress who plays Daenerys. Like I heard that
Emilia Clarke.
Yeah, I was thinking like Emily Blunt, but that's wrong. Emilia Clarke. She said that this coming week's episode is like the best in the whole.
I had heard that. Yeah.
Universe of Game of Thrones. It's like, how could you even like? You haven't seen it,
right?
You don't know. But she, obviously she was in it, so some good stuff probably happens. I wonder if she dies, and that's why she thinks it's the best episode.
I'm finally off this show, thank God.
Yeah, I've made enough money to just retire forever.
Right.
Do you think they have? Do you think they did? Any of these guys have made enough to retire?
I mean, maybe some of the leads, depending on the sort of retired life they want. But, yeah. Like, some of them are still... Like, Emilia Clarke was just in the Solo movie.
Yeah, a lot of them are still super active.
Who else was... what's her name? The most beautiful woman in Westeros. Highgarden. Margaery Tyrell.
Oh.
Natalie Dorner, that's the actress's name. She was in several things after she died off. Wasn't she? But, well, not even after she died off. She was in several things during her run in Game of Thrones still. And then she was killed. Was that during the last season, or was that the season prior? That was the season prior to.
Yeah.
I I was going to say, because that was really big. Never mind, I was
cool,
wrong.
That was
but
a
no,
cool
that was
character
the season
too,
before.
that they developed a lot. And
I loved Margaery Tyrell.
Yeah, that hadn't been in the book.
I thought she was so capable and pivotal for a lot of storyline. Her death was also very pivotal and extremely useful for the advancement of the plot that they were going for. So I'm not mad that I was mad because she died because I was in love with her, but I'm not mad from a writing standpoint that they killed her. But I was bummed out. It would be interesting to see parallel Game of Thrones and see some of these other characters and how they would have handled it if they survived,
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Because some characters were such great characters that are no longer there. But that's a whole nother series of podcasts talking about that.
It could be.
Yeah.
The multiverse, Game of Thrones multiverse podcast.
Oh my God, that must exist. Some poor person with too much time has got that show.
I'll have to check that one out. But yeah, I'm ready for next week, dude. I don't know what else.
I guess I am. Certainly now that we're working towards the end of it, which obviously we're working towards the end of it. That's how time works. But
yeah, we're on the back end.
Now we're in the back half. I guess we were in the back half this week too. Literally once the clock started, we were in the back half. But now we're definitely in the back half. We're in the back third.
Have you been watching it when it comes out?
Yeah. Not as it airs usually.
Yeah.
Every Sunday I've not been able to watch it right away because I've either been working or I've been doing other things. Yesterday I came back from Portland and I had some cleaning and laundry to do, and then I still needed to read most of our section of Descendant of the Crane.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that. And that took me 2.5, 3 hours. And then by that time it was 11:30. And so that's when I started Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I think did you watch it on Xbox?
I watched it on my computer.
Oh, okay.
Last night.
Thought I saw you hop on and I was like, oh, I was watching.
Oh, you probably did because I was on my computer and Windows. It has an Xbox thing. It's all integrated.
Nice.
Yeah, people are always like, how are you playing World of Warcraft on your Xbox? I'm like, I'm not. It's just Windows. they integrate real nicely.
Know how things work. I'm kidding.
Oh, I guess that's about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything else about this week's episode that you're thinking about? The Last of the Starks is our episode title this week.
Yeah, no, not really, honestly. I mean, if anything, I feel like maybe one of the girls, Sansa or Arya, is going to kill Daenerys because they don't trust her. Maybe,
I think that, yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of if I'm looking for something to say, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I think, neither of them, or Sansa definitely doesn't trust Daenerys. That's, blatantly obvious. I think Arya's more on the fence.
It's like the two pretty ones have to hate each other.
Right. There was. You totally distracted me by saying that, but no, because I remember what my point was going to be. But yeah, there was one shot where they were in the God's Wood, where I was just like, "Holy shit, Sophie Turner is just so beautiful." But in any case, I think, Arya is a little bit more on the fence about Dany. I think, where she probably doesn't like some things, but she's a little bit more realistic than Sansa is.
Yeah,
I think.
She seemed to be the voice.
She's certainly less prideful than Sansa.
Yeah, she was the one that kind of parlayed the info between Jon and her. It's your family, she might be your queen, but we don't trust her, and we're your family.
Right.
So at least hear us.
Right.
You don't have to act on it, but just know how we feel.
And whereas Sansa's obsessed with the state of the North, which is great.
Yeah. Somebody
internal policy, but Arya sees we probably wouldn't have won against the White Walkers if she didn't come. So she sees that value and, is a little bit more, logical and sensible, or a little more detached from the situation.
Yeah.
And I guess that's true to her character because she long ago thought she was never even going to go back to Winterfell. So she kind of detached herself from those ties anyways. So maybe she does kill Dany because something happens.
Yeah.
Certainly if Dany turns on Jon, then Arya would be like, well, I'm going to protect Jon. But her going south with Sandor saying that she's going to King's Landing because she also has unfinished business in King's Landing, just like he does. She's going to kill somebody.
Yeah,
she's going to kill either Cersei or Dany if it comes to that,
or even maybe the Mountain if it.
Maybe they team up on the Mountain and they both die killing the Mountain. All three of them die in Clegane Bowl 2019.
Like the little girl when she kills the giant.
The giant, yeah. Mormont. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Arya once again says that she doesn't expect to come back from to the north.
Yeah, no, and I guess, that could be just her saying, like, I'm...
Yeah, like, even if she accomplishes her mission and lives, she just fucks off. Mm-hmm. Which is, what I figure will happen.
Seems like she'd go back to, like, Essos, like, out into the east, and, like, try to...
Yeah, just get away from everything. Yeah. Maybe so. Or, I mean, she could conceivably just travel throughout the entire planet.
Yeah.
She could spend, like, another year in Westeros and then go off to Essos or, whatever. Stuff that we'll never see, probably.
That'd be a cool fanfic.
Right.
Like her story afterwards.
The Adventures of Arya.
Yeah. Especially if it was, like, kind of not necessarily lighthearted, but if it was more like it wasn't the fate of the world that was at stake, like how it is
here.
Exactly. In that sense, it would be more lighthearted, but it'd still be like Arya and her. You wouldn't want her to lose or die, or her friends to die, or whatever. So, in that respect, it'd be, you'd still have value. But that'd be fun, I think. just her adventures.
Right.
Yeah.
I think so too. That certainly would be enjoyable. That would be a novel series that I assume I would want to read.
Even if it was fanfic?
I mean, probably not. If they were short, then maybe I would try to keep up with that.
They got some renown.
But if just some, dude on Reddit was like, hey, I wrote this 800-page novel and I'm going to write another one, I'd be like, I don't fucking care.
I'm not going to read that.
That's way too much for me to care about.
I can't give you free press on our super successful podcast.
But, yeah.
Well, cool, man. Yeah, I think I'm good for next week. I'm just ready to, winter's here. It's been here.
I know. It's been here for 2 seasons, right? When did the White Ravens leave the Citadel to tell everybody? Was that last season or the season before? So many things that may have been last season or the season before.
Yeah, I know, man.
Because they were both so relatively unmemorable.
Yeah, it was like, and it's like years ago that it happened.
That's true. It was also a long time.
No.
I'm giving it a hard time, but really it's because the last season was 2 years ago. And then obviously before that it was 3 years ago for the season previous. Mm-hmm. But also because they weren't that memorable. So I'm also going to stick by that.
True.
Anyways, we'll see y'all for us here in a minute with the final episode of Descendant of the Crane, which has turned out to be an excellent novel in my estimation. And then after that, we'll see you again with Game of Thrones and whatever book we decide on. Because we got to do that today. Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
All right. Yeah,
hopefully we pick a good one.
Yeah, we'll get one.
If we don't pick a good one, you'll know.
We'll know fast.
Yeah. That's all I could come up with. Anyways, I'm Will Hedrick.
I'm Jordan Schaffer.
This is Dog Ears and Timestamps. Go Bruins, go Rockets.